to the Lifestyle Herbalist Podcast. I'm Sabrina Cooper, registered dental hygienist, culinary holistic nutritionist, and practical herbalist. And today we are going to talk about the silent storm, how stress hijacks the nervous system and what you can do about it. If you don't think your anxiety, depression, sadness, and stress impact your physical health, think again. All of these emotions trigger chemical reactions in your body, which can lead to inflammation and a weakened immune system. Author unknown. Hans Selye, endocrinologist, father of stress research, wrote, "Every stress leaves an indelible scar, and the organism pays for its survival after a stressful situation by becoming a little older. It is not stress that kills us, it is our reaction to it." And a quote by Maureen Killeran, "Stress is not what happens to us, it is our response to what happens, and response is something we can choose." In today's fast-paced world, stress has become so normalized that it's often mistaken for motivation or productivity. But beneath the surface, every unaddressed worry, sleepless night, and racing heartbeat is part of a silent biological storm brewing within your nervous system. And left unchecked, that storm can reshape not only your emotional state, but the very wiring of your brain and body. The nervous system is the body's communication superhighway. It's made up of two key branches: the central nervous system, the CNS, which includes the brain and spinal cord, and peripheral nervous system, the PNS, which connects the rest of the body. Within this intricate network lies the autonomic nervous system, which manages the body's involuntary functions: heart rate, breathing, digestion, and so much more. Basically, our whole body. When you encounter a stressful situation, whether it's an argument, financial strain, or the constant ping of notifications on your cell phone, your sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight response, kicks in. Adrenaline and cortisol flood the body, preparing you to act. Your heart rate increases, pupils dilate, and blood is redirected from the digestive tract to the muscles. This, my friends, is survival in action, an ancient mechanism designed to protect you from danger. But here's the problem. Modern stress rarely requires physical escape. Instead, it lingers. Unrelenting emails, social pressures, uncertainty about the future, which is known as the allostatic load. Graham studies the allostatic load refers to the cumulative effects of chronic stress on mental and physical health. Constant exposure to these stress hormones can lead to negative health effects, including metabolic, immune, and cardiovascular issues. The body's stress response, meant to be temporary, becomes chronic. Over time, this constant activation rewires the nervous system. The vagus nerve, which normally helps restore calm through the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, becomes underactive. Cortisol levels remain elevated, inflammation increases, the brain's amygdala, the fear center, becomes hyperreactive, while the prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic and emotional regulation, weakens its control. The result? Anxiety, poor concentration, fatigue, and even physical illnesses like hypertension, digestive disorders, and chronic pain. Research shows that long-term stress caused by hormones like cortisol and adrenaline weakens the immune system and makes people more likely to get sick. Brain chemicals like serotonin and norepinephrine help control how our immune system works. Inflammation caused by stress is connected to health issues like heart disease, depression, and autoimmune diseases. Among the women, greater cortisol excretion was associated with poor baseline memory performance. Moreover, women who exhibited increases in cortisol excretion over a 2.5-year follow-up period were more likely to show declines in memory performance. What this means is that in the older populations, chronic elevated cortisol is associated with measurable decline in memory tasks over time. Stress doesn't just live in the mind, it imprints itself into the body. Neuroscientists now know that chronic stress alters the structure and function of neurons. The hippocampus, critical for memory, can shrink under prolonged exposure to cortisol. This can lead to forgetfulness and difficulty learning new information. From Stress Effects on the Hippocampus, a critical review, it states uncontrollable stress has been recognized to influence the hippocampus as various levels of analysis. Behaviorally, human and animal studies have found that stress generally impairs various hippocampal-dependent memory tasks. Structurally, human and animal studies have shown that stress changes neuronal morphology, suppresses neuronal proliferation, and reduces hippocampal volume. Even the immune system isn't spared. Stress hormones suppress its effectiveness, leaving you more vulnerable to infections. Over time, this internal wear and tear, which I mentioned earlier, the allostatic load, becomes the cost of chronic adaptation. From a study, How Stress Damages Immune System and Health, it states that stress has been a focal point in this body of literature because it's known that stress can induce immune dysregulation across many aspects of the humoral and cellular immune responses. Stress-induced immune dysregulation can produce changes that are not only statistically significant, but most importantly, biologically significant in terms of health risk. It's not an overstatement to say that chronic stress can age the nervous system prematurely. The body and brain become locked in survival mode, and healing becomes secondary to endurance. From another study, The Multifaceted Impact of Stress on Immune Function from 2025, it reads that while it was reported that acute stress prepares the organism to deal with challenges and can benefit the body, chronic stress is detrimental. It can lead to more frequent infections, prolonged inflammation, and even cancer progression. The good news is that the nervous system is remarkably adaptable, capable of healing and rewiring itself through a process known as neuroplasticity. The same mechanisms that allow stress to shape the brain can also be harnessed to undo its damage. Here are some evidence-based ways to reset and protect your nervous system. 1. Deep breathing and vagal activation, controlled breathing. Especially using slow, deep exhales, which stimulates the vagus nerve, activating the parasympathetic nervous system and lowering cortisol levels. Practices like diaphragmatic breathing, humming, or even cold water exposure can strengthen vagal tone. So get out there and do those cold plunges and make sure that you're breathing daily, deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling for a few minutes each day. Number 2, mindfulness and meditation. Regular mindfulness practice changes brain structure, increasing gray matter in areas associated with emotional regulation. It helps quiet the amygdala's reactivity and enhances prefrontal control. And I'm happy to tell you that we do have some meditation sessions available on our podcasts that really do help quiet the mind and body when you need a few minutes. They're very short, just 5 minutes or so, and it's great to take the time throughout the day just to give yourself that pause and time to restore your body and mind. Number 3, movement and physical exercise. Exercise releases endorphins, the body's natural stress relievers, and improves neuroplasticity. Even gentle movement, walking, yoga, tai chi, can recalibrate the nervous system toward balance. You know, getting outside during the day and going for a walk, even if it's brisk and cold, bundling up, letting that cold air touch your skin, releases so much of that day that might be bothering you, things that are weighing on your mind. It'll give you that time just to release and walk out in nature and switch your mindset. And just those few minutes, it could be 10 minutes of walking, will really shift your energy and you'll notice a huge difference. And perhaps you'll feel a little lighter when you come back to what you were doing previously. Number 4 is a big one, restorative sleep. During deep sleep, the brain clears out toxins through the lymphatic system. Chronic sleep deprivation keeps the nervous system in a state of hyperarousal. So prioritizing quality rest is one of the most effective stress antidotes. And a lot of people struggle with this one. A lot of people don't get that deep sleep. They can't turn off. So my thought is that if you could just do one of the top 2 things mentioned, meditation, walking, a little exercise before bed, perhaps shifting your mindset will get you rested and your mind ready for bed, and will allow you to have those few hours of deep sleep so that you can restore your brain, restore your body, and become a clearer version of you. Connection and social support. Human connection is medicine for the nervous system. Positive interactions release oxytocin, a hormone that counters the effects of cortisol and enhances resilience. Find your tribe. Find those people that speak to you, the people that surround yourself with that bring you positivity and joy and light. If something isn't working or something just doesn't feel right or is weighing on you, maybe it's time to revisit these relationships or encounters and figure out ways that you can surround yourself with more joy and positivity. And if it's not possible, then if you're in that moment, maybe after that moment of time with people that aren't bringing you joy, do something that does bring you joy, and maybe reach out to that one person that makes you laugh or makes you smile or just knows the right thing to say, and that'll help change your mindset and will reset your brain and body to keep going. Nourishment and nutrition. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, and antioxidants support brain health and reduce inflammation. Gut health is equally important. And we've talked a lot about gut health on this podcast, so you can scroll back and look at those episodes and listen in on those, because the gut-brain axis directly influences mood and stress response. So what's happening in the gut normally will affect the brain. So it's good to keep your nutrition in check, feed yourself great clean foods. It's very hard sometimes in those moments where we're feeling down. Sometimes we are more apt to grabbing for that glass of wine or those foods that are comforting that really don't serve much purpose, but it might feel like it in the moment. So my advice is to always keep your gut health in check. Use a probiotic. Have your pantry stocked with snacks that you can grab that will help nourish your brain and your gut. Things like leafy greens, nuts and seeds, almonds, cashews, pumpkin seeds. Your spinach, kales, those are high in magnesium. You also want to, maybe even if you want a really nice little treat, some dark chocolate, because a 1 ounce serving of dark chocolate of 70 to 85% cocoa contains a significant amount of magnesium. So there's your little sweet treat. And also during the day, you can even use some whole grains like brown rice and some quinoa. Other foods great to have on hand, avocados and bananas. These are really nice. You could add the bananas to some yogurt, like a Greek yogurt, and you'll be definitely helping your gut. And so these are just ways that you can help your nutrition and your nourishment so that you're feeding both your gut health and your brain health at the same time. And number 7, boundaries and stillness. In a culture of constant stimulation, setting boundaries is a radical act of self-preservation. Moments of stillness, whether you're going through nature, prayer, journaling, or solitude, allows the nervous system to reset. So take those times to enjoy nature, perhaps write in your journal if something's bothering you so you can let it go. Do anything that you can just be still and be with yourself and give yourself some self-love. It's not being selfish, it's being caring. It's self-care. You need to take care of yourself before you can take care of everything else going on in your world. Because if you're not good, you're not going to be able to serve those around you. So always make sure that you're taking care of yourself first. It's no different than when they say on the airplane, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first before you put on the oxygen masks of those around you, because you really need to take care of you. And setting boundaries is not selfish either. If you're not able to do a task or can't take on anymore, You can use the word, I'm sorry, not right now, or just say no. Nobody's going to be upset, because if you can't do it, you're going to be disgruntled and maybe feel like you didn't need to take this on, and you're going to come from a place of anger, and that's going to add to your stress levels. And what we're trying to do is lower our stress levels so that we can be better versions of ourselves. So really make sure that you take your time, set your boundaries, and give yourself some stillness. The evidence is undeniable. Stress isn't just an emotional burden. It's a full body experience with consequences that ripple through every cell, organ, and thought. From the hippocampus that shrinks under constant pressure to the immune system that falters in the face of the relentless cortisol, the nervous system bears the imprint of every unprocessed worry. Yet, the same system that endures these effects is also wired for renewal. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and rewire, means that healing isn't just possible, it's physiological. Just as chronic stress can sculpt the brain towards hypervigilance, consistent calm can reshape it toward balance, resilience, and joy. Scientific studies reveal what ancient wisdom has long known. The antidote to stress doesn't lie in eliminating challenge, but in changing our response to it. Deep breathing can recalibrate the vagus nerve. Movement and rest restore hormonal rhythm. Laughter, purpose, and connection release the very chemistry of healing. Even brief moments of mindfulness can lower cortisol and strengthen immune defenses. The truth is, stress will never disappear, but it can be transformed. By understanding its effects, we reclaim agency over our well-being. Each breath, boundary, and mindful pause teaches the nervous system that safety is not the absence of stress, but the presence of self-regulation. In the end, the goal isn't to live without pressure, it's to live with grace under it. When we learn to claim the storm within, the body follows, the mind clears, and we discover what is meant to thrive, not just survive. Thanks for listening in today, and I hope that you get one takeaway from this podcast and give yourself the time to sit, clear your mind, and handle the stresses with grace. I'm Sabrina Cooper, and please share this podcast with anyone you know who may need to listen in, and also look back at some of our other podcasts because we have a lot of information on some of the different things that I touched upon today.